Right, today we are starting the third day of our training. First 2 days, 27th and 28th of October 2017, we started off with the introduction of PMI, PMP certification on the first day, and we continued on into the second day with explanation of CCR cycle and PDUs, and by the end of the day, we were talking about what is the purpose of PMBOK guide. So yesterday we did cover the PMBOK guide. I'll just show you the previous slides. So this was the purpose, and I explained to you that there are three things in the purpose. First, it is an identification. It is an identification of generally recognized good practices. So we have three things: identification, not exhaustive study or exhaustive description of everything. Then it is generally recognized all over the globe, in all sectors, all countries, all economies, all cultures, and all everything. And then it is not the common practices, these are the sorted good practices. Again, I explained yesterday that good practices are not best practices. If you are working towards best practices, then you must be working towards your maturity. So I also explained the difference between a maturity model and competency framework. So project managers competency development framework is for the improvement of a project manager's competency, whereas organizations, they mature, and they mature through adoption of best practices. Good practices is good enough for standardization. So if you're following a standard like PMBOK, like ISO, then you are just applying good practices. Now let us move on. What is a project? I would like to ask you what you think about what a project is. So I would like to start with Atif.
A project is an assignment assigned to a particular manager with a certain frame of mind, certain frame of time, in which there are some budgets involved. There is a goal involved, actually, what is to achieve, and then it has a time frame, and then it has a scheduling, brainstorming, and then kickstart of initiation that we call, and then later it's like controlling, mentoring, and all that till the time till the project finishes within a specific given frame of time.
Right. Okay. Very nice. But you see, I'll note it down and I'll get back to you. Then I would like to talk to Mubin. Yes, Mubin. What do you think a project is? Mubin, can you hear me? I think there's some problem at the end of Mubin. Adris, okay, you have two connections. I don't know which one is working right now. Adris, what is your opinion about what a project is? Adris, can you hear me? Okay.
Yes. Can you hear me now, sir?
Yeah, of course, of course.
Yeah. Project is actually an endeavor which has certain start and finish date, and the end product is a unique items. Means, for example, if we are constructing some building, so like for example, hospital. So it has some certain time in start date, end date, and we have to go through all the process, and at the end we got some unique means product. So that is basically project.
Wonderful, wonderful. So that's that from Idris. So let us hear from Shahid. Yeah, Shahid, can you hear me?
Yeah, sir. Yeah, I can hear you. I agree with Adri's explanation. It's a temporary underwear with the predefined start and closing date,
Hmm.
and with predefined set of activities. I mean, in general, what Adri's explained is okay.
Okay, right. We are getting somewhere. What about Wasif? I think Wasif. Yeah, Wasif.
Well, sir, for project, it is like a temporary endeavor that is undertaken to achieve some goals, and it is like this. I have gone through a few
Okay,
definitions for it.
wonderful, wonderful. Rijuk, is your mic working now? Can you speak? I think Riju has some problems with his mic, and we could not also hear whom else? Mobeen. We could not hear Mobeen also. Right. Anyways, let us move on. Right. Atif said that this is an assignment to a project manager, and in this assignment, there is something to do with doing the work in a time frame. Then later on, we have to monitor and control those things, and so on and so forth. Yes, but probably if we start talking about the whole project management, that would not really be the definition. But yes, of course, you are talking about the right thing. The definition has to be very precise and to the point. And as Adris pointed out, the word unique with a start and a finish. Yes, of course, we are going to create something unique out of it. Then Shahid and Wasif mentioned temporary endeavor. Yes, of course, this whatever we are going to do in a project is going to be something temporary, and it is an endeavor which will, once accomplished, will no more sustain any further. I mean, sustenance, the product may sustain and survive, but project will not. Project will no more exist. Project will finish once it has met its objectives. So I agree with Wasif on that there are certain goals which have to be met. I also agree with Rees that there has to be a start and a finish. And Shahid also said there are predefined start and end points. Here I would like to differ a bit. Why do we say predefined start and an end? Do you mean by that we we have a fixed start date and a finish date, Shahid?
Sir, when we define the project or when we highlight the milestones, usually it's a if you plan like pre-project activities, you define everything. So it's a kind of a holistic approach where
Mhm.
you can see that's yes that for each milestone or for each activity we have a start and end date. So it
Okay.
is predefined.
Okay. Does that mean that you have already defined that this project is going to start on 1st of January and it is going to finish on 31st of December? That does that
Yes,
mean?
actually, sir, and when a project manager is assigned to a project, there are two phases. One is the pre-project activities, and the other activities when, before kickoff or
Mhm.
if we are assuming in generally, it is considered that a project manager is assigned on a project usually when it is about to start within an organization. It
Mhm.
is not a pre-project. So when that is done, it means that the charter has been finalized or the executive charter, all those things has happened, and then you have a start and close date to starting and finishing date of almost on a high level activities.
Right.
So
What will happen if those dates are not met? Does it cease to exist as a project?
Yes, still. I mean, you have to again, it could be that you have to re-baseline it again
Okay. So
based on schedule or time, whatever.
that is exactly the point. It is not the predefined fixed start or fixed ending of the project, which is already mentioned. The basic crux of it is that project has a temporary lifespan. It has to start at some point in time and it has to finish at some point in time. Now, that all depends upon your proactive planning when you plan to start it and when you plan to finish it. But that does not matter if you do not meet it within that time frame. You do not meet the milestones on that specific date. But whenever those specific milestones are met and the objectives are met, at that point the project objective will be completed. Therefore, it has to end somewhere, it has to finish somewhere, and similarly it has to start from somewhere. As compared to operations, they do not have a start time or a finish time. They are continuous in nature. Projects are not continuous in nature. They have to start at some point in time and they have to finish at some point in time. That was the point why I was saying predefined is not a very good choice of word for this. Do you understand, Shahid?
Yes, I do, sir.
Okay. Coming back to Atif. Uh, okay, Atif, you said it is an assignment given to the project manager. I do agree. It is naturally by assignment, you must be meaning a temporary endeavor. And this, the person who has to be made responsible for taking on this challenge on day-to-day basis is the project manager, and that's exactly what you meant by saying. And then you said it is a time frame, and I have just defined uh, the problem with the predefined and at any point in time thing, and that also clarifies the start and end of the project. I just want to ask you, do you understand what do we mean by temporary endeavor? Can you just explain the word temporary?
Temporary is that is not long lasting, that
Mhm.
it has to end, start at one point and it has to end at one point, as you said in your explanation. So
What?
that's why once it finishes, it ceases to exist, the project. But whatever the product is, it works.
So you're right. You're right. So what does that mean is that the word temporary actually represents what you all had been saying, that it has to have a start point and a finish point, and that cannot be predefined. Naturally, that could be any start point and any finish point, but project will have to start somewhere and end somewhere, and that shows its temporary nature. Then we say it is a it is a endeavor. What do you mean by endeavor? Adris, can you talk about what endeavor really means?
Uh, Endeavor means new challenge, means he has to do something new.
Wonderful,
Means
wonderful.
it gives actually unique product. Like first they have done some project, some different type of project, but nature of the project will be different. Although means some activities could be same, but the nature will be different. So he has to take up some new challenges in the new project. So this
Wonderful.
is, I think, the meaning of endeavor.
I think you have put it in very nice words. This is basically taking on a challenge. So endeavor is an attempt to take on a challenge, and you are taking on a challenge. And yes, you have rightly brought up that because it is something unique, something new, you might not have done before. Therefore, it is a challenge for me. And when you will achieve this target, then the temporary nature of the project will be accomplished. It will finish, it will achieve something, it will achieve certain goals, and it will end. But what we are trying to create here, because it is something unique we have never done before, So whatever we are going to be producing out of this project is going to be something new. It is a creation by itself. I do not mean by saying that we are, you know, doing everything in a project from in the inception, and we are creating everything new. We might be using the various processes and procedures we already have been using in various other tasks, but the combination of those various repetitive processes are in a special order. It is to create something new and unique, and this combination has never existed before. That is why this is a temporary endeavor. This is going to be creating something new and unique, and this is a creation by itself. And what does it create? Naturally, in short, I would say a deliverable, and that deliverable could be a tangible or an intangible output, and that could be the product, service, or a result. So that is how we define the deliverable. It could be a product, which could be tangible, which could be physically, seen. It could be a service. I am providing you a service. By the end of the day, you would say, there is nothing concrete you have given me. There is not a book or anything which I can hold in my hands, but the knowledge which has been transferred would be the service. So what kind of service are you getting out of it? It may not have any other physical product. It could have a service. And can anyone explain what does the result mean? Wasif, can you help me out on that?
Result, result means the output, the creation, the word you have used.
Yeah, we did say that these all are outputs. These all are
And with
deliverables, product, service, or result. But by product we meant something really tangible. By service we meant something we can't see, and it is a service provided. It kind of a, you know
yeah,
you have been enriched by something. Uh, how do you explain the word result? Okay,
the end product that we are looking to get out of that unique activity. That's not result.
okay. You were supposed to produce, to reach certain goal. You were supposed to produce certain results, like maybe, I was supposed to create a document, a feasibility study. That document may be 100-page long document, and I may be costing you maybe $10,000 for that. You can always say, what is so good about this small little document of 100 pages, and why are you costing me so much? Because there is specialized knowledge in it. Because I have put in certain specialized knowledge, certain specialized techniques to produce that thing. It is not ordinary book. This is the result I have produced. Normally the result would be in a documentary form, like a feasibility, like any other document I'm supposed to be creating at the end of a project. Sometimes the product of the project, or the deliverable of the project, or output of the project is just a document. So such like things would be considered as the result. So whatever represents achievement of the objective of a project as a output could be a product, service, or result. And if we understand this much, probably I can show you what the PMI says about it. The PMI definition is, a project is a temporary endeavor. We have already explained what temporary endeavor means. It is undertaken to create something new. We are doing something new. And whatever we are doing, that has never been done before. So it is a unique output, a deliverable, which we would say a product, service, or result. So we have explained each and every word in this definition. And by the way, this is the most comprehensive definition of a project. Like Atif was trying to explain, and it was, it is too much to encompass. There are a lot many things we do in project. We do the planning, we do execution, we do monitoring and control. We have to look at the scope, time, and cost. So if we start explaining each and everything, that would not remain a definition. Definition has to be concise and to the point, and by the economy of words, by using the minimum number of words, if we can convey the whole purpose of the thing, that is this. This definition is the most, shortest, smallest, and smartest definition one could come up with. Previously, there had been a lot many definitions in old project management books. Some definitions were like, project is a group of activities done for a specific purpose, and so on and so forth. Sometimes it used to be to doing something within time and within budget and etc. Sometimes some people used to say it is about quality and scope. Yes, of course, it is all about that. But at the same time, there are a lot many other things those definitions are not covering. Now, with this very small definition, the crux of project has been exposed. And right now, all the new books on project management which are being written for the last few decades, 1 or 2 decades, they all have finally adopted the definition of PMBOK, and this is now the most renowned definition of what a project really means. So I would take that you already understand this definition because most of you have mentioned the same words which are mentioned in this definition. So I would understand that you have exposure to this definition before. As I explained, temporary, but rather you explained temporary to me. Temporary nature of projects indicate a definite beginning and end. Definite, not predefined. There's a difference between definite beginning and definite end. That means it will start at some point in time. It will end at some point in time. But it does not mean it will definitely begin and it will definitely end. It doesn't say that it will start on that date and this date, or it will end on that specific date. That does not matter. The thing which matters is project has to start at some point and has to finish at some point. How does a project? How do we consider a project complete, or how can we end a project? The very first thing is whatever the objectives of the project were, have they been achieved? If they have been achieved, project has no reason to survive any further. Project must end. There could be other conditions, like you see, the project has been terminated prematurely because whatever the objectives you thought it would be meeting will not or cannot be met. We have finally come to a conclusion that the objectives we have set for this project are unreachable. They cannot be met. And as soon as that fact is discovered, the project should immediately be terminated. Why? Because we do not want to waste company resources on something which is unattainable, which is unachievable. And a similar kind of situation is the need for the project no longer exists. The objectives are there, but there might be some other ways of meeting those objectives in a better manner, and so this project is no more needed to exist any further. So we can stop this project at any point in time. So there could be other reasons to end a project even when it has not achieved its target, even when it has not met its objectives. So these are the few situations where a project can be terminated. What can a project create? Naturally, we are talking about projects create something. What do they create? They create the deliverable. And that deliverable could be in form of product, service, or result. And I have already briefly explained what each one of these items are. Some examples of projects. Yes, Idris. Idris, you wanted to say something? Yes, Idris.
Can you hear me now, sir?
Yeah, I can.
Actually, you just told us about the term tangible and intangible. Actually, I could not get these terms. Means how means what does mean by tangible and intangible in terms of
Okay.
project means.
Okay. You see, if there are certain projects in which, like civil engineering, I am constructing a bridge. The deliverable or the output of that project will be a concrete item which I can see, I can feel, I can envision. So such like things which are more, visually recognizable, which can be seen, which can be touched, these are called tangibles. So such like things I would class them as products. There are certain projects which deliver certain benefits to you. Like, I am training you and you are getting the education. Now this education might not be in form of a book, or it cannot be physically seen, but such like thing is more of a service. Thirdly, as I was explaining the result, I am trying to build that bridge, but before that, I want to have a feasibility study or a report, maybe an environmental report. So that report is also an output of some kind of a project, but that report might look a very small document, but at the same time, that carries a huge value. Maybe I spent last 2 years preparing that report, and that 100-page report is worth a lot of money. So you can't say that I can buy a book of 100 pages for 20 rupees or $20. So why are you charging me $10,000? Because this was a project and this is the result of that. Though it is a tangible document, is a tangible, but it does not go by the size of the money being put into it. Did I make myself clear, Idris? Yes, Idris.
It's clear now, sir.
Okay,
Got it.
wonderful, wonderful. So some of the examples of the projects are right in front of you. Like, you are trying to come up with a new product or a service. Naturally, that is a project. Uh, you want to bring some kind of change or improvement in your organization, and naturally, that is not a routine. You do not, in routine, make changes to your organizational structure, staffing, or style. So, if you are trying to enhance or improve it, that could be a project. And once that benefit has been delivered, that project will be finished. But the result of the project does sustain. We will adopt the good practices you have recommended from your project, and they will be adopted into the operations of the organization. So the product of the project might stay, but the project finishes. Developing or requiring a new or modified information system. Maybe you want to automate your systems, and once create your own, or you get a modified system or a customized system, that acquisition and inducting it into your existing system would bring a change into your organization, and that would be our project. It will be a smooth transition from the old ways to the new ways. So between the old ways and new ways, you have to go through I'm sorry, probably there was some problem. I was probably talking about the various examples of the project, and I said if you're developing something new, a product or a service, that is definitely a project. If you are bringing some change in the existing processes, existing methods and mechanisms of your organization, that change is a one-time effort, and that is also a project. And the result of this change would then be adopted by your organization. I think today we have a bad connection and our voice is breaking up time and again. No problem. We'll just go by it. I'll repeat it again. We were talking about various examples of the project, and we said if you are, creating something new, you're building a new bridge or something, or doing whatever, giving, producing a new product or service, that attempt or that endeavor would be temporary and would be called a project. If you are trying to bring a change in the system of your organization, in the processes, in the structure, in the staffing, or way of working, that change would come through a project and then would be adopted into your operations. So that is a result of a project. Or you are trying to, uh, develop or acquire a new system or a modified system or a customized system. So when you do that, the accomplishment of from the old system to the new system, the changeover time, the changeover process would actually be the project, and then it would be adopted. And naturally, as I said before, it will form part of your regular operations. Constructing a new building or infrastructure, naturally, that is a renowned project. Implementing a new business process or procedure. So you probably could, make out what a project may look like. But one thing is common in all these kinds of projects. And what is that? Everything, we are doing something unique. We are bringing some change. That change we are bringing through doing this project could not have been brought in any other way. Why? Because operations do not have the capacity for change. Operations resist change. Why do they resist change? Because the standard operating procedures bind the whole mechanism of operations by certain rules, by certain policies and procedures, and you do not have any freedom to do anything which is not in line with the standard operating procedures. So, by definition, operations cannot bring change. But we do understand that in an organization, we need to enhance, we need to improve, we need to continuously build ourselves to a better future. So that tantamounts to a continuous attempt to change and evolve. As I said, operations do not have capacity to change. How to bring change into a system would be through projects. Projects will be conducted for various purposes to bring certain changes, improvements, or whatever. And with every project, certain deliverables, product, service, or results would be delivered to the organization and will bring that improvement into the organization. That is the goal of that project, which will strategically improve the capacity of the organization. So projects are means to achieve change, to bring change into the organization. Do you understand this point? Anyone who wants to differ and discuss? Open to you. I did issue a challenging statement. Do you all agree with it? Yes, Mubin? Mubin, there is a lot of noise at your end, but I can't hear anything. Okay. Anyone else? Okay. So does that mean you all agree with me on that?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So let me move on then. If we understand that this is a